when I was in the US for the first time, unfortunately, my parents didn't have the resources to be able to pay for my college education while I was there. So I ended up taking a full-time job as a restaurant server in a restaurant in Providence, and I worked full time. I went to college full time, and I managed to pay off my tuition fees while I was still in college.
Wow.
So similar to that story, all of the CEOs and founders that I interact with have gone through some sort of hardship or have gone through some sort of difficult time in their lives, which has forced them to look inwards and actually emerge stronger.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of the People Hum interview series. This is your host Neha at People Hum. People Hum is an end-to-end, one-view, integrated human capital management automation platform, the winner of the 2019 Global Cody Award for HCM that's specifically built for crafted employee experiences and the future of work. We run the People Hum blog and channel that receives more than 200,000 visitors a year, and we also publish several interviews with well-known names globally every month. We have with us today Siddharth Vazee. Siddharth is the founder and CEO of Bearing Strategy LLP, which operates at the high-stakes intersection of business and media. They are the go-to partner for global organizations and CXOs who guide our clients to build their reputation. They work passionately in the areas of reputation management, corporate and strategic communication, and personal and organizational branding. Siddharth is a popular keynote speaker and columnist who's frequently invited to speak on leadership, future of work, and entrepreneurship. He's also been featured on ET Now, Radio 1, as well as written for the Economic Times. He has conceptualized and hosted one of India's first business-focused shows, The CEO's Chair, wherein he featured 45 global CEOs, has over 2.9 million minutes of total watch time, 900,000 plus views, and an engaged audience of over 40,000. So we're extremely privileged to have you speak with us today, Siddharth. Welcome to People Hum.
Thank you so much, Neha. It's a pleasure to be here, and I appreciate the warm welcome.
Thank you, Siddharth. So let's jump right into it. As the founder and CEO at Bearing Strategy LLP, can you tell us a little bit more about your extraordinary journey?
So, Sneha, when we were talking about this offline, and sometimes I think it takes a moment like this for you to actually pause and look back at essentially how far you've come and everything that you've achieved. And I think one of your questions actually did that for me. It has been an exciting childhood growing up. It has been an exciting career so far as well. Just in pretty much a nutshell, I had the opportunity of growing up in different cities all over the country because my father was in the army. So we moved around quite a bit. And I think before the age of 18, I'd actually gone to about 5 or 6 different schools in 5 or 6 different cities, which essentially meant that I was always the new kid in class, and I always had to go up and introduce myself to a lot of people. Which I think helped me in good stead later on in my life. I ended up moving out of my parents' house when I was 18 to pursue higher studies, and I went to hotel school in Bangalore in 1996. After that, after a couple of years there, I ended up moving to the US in 2001 for further studies as well. And I arrived in the US about 10 days before the entire September 11th attacks happened. So which was, not really the best time to get there. But I think it really showed me a very, very different side of the United States. And the 15 years that I spent there were, I think, very, very, insightful as to the way that people can be resilient and the way how quickly something can change. So from about 2002 to about 2015 is when I was working at some of the best 5-star luxury hotels in New York and in New Jersey. I was managing them as well. And when I last left New York, I was managing a hotel which was then owned by the Sultan of Brunei. And it was a pretty big property with about 900 rooms and close to 1,100 employees. So that was extremely exciting, but I always wanted to, at some stage in life, move back to India and start something of my own and get into entrepreneurship. And that started in 2015 when I moved back. And since then, I worked on my own venture, which was earlier Forethought Corporate Communications, which was a consulting business, which I founded and ran for about 3 years. I exited that about a year and a half ago. And that's when I conceptualized a much smaller, much more focused boutique consulting agency, which is now Bearing Strategy.
That's wonderful. So that it's wonderful to listen how people's journeys have literally made them the person that they are today. And I can imagine your experiences must have been very unconventional, but at the same time, it's lovely to see how they have brought you to where you are today. So that definitely does provide a lot of insight and probably also a hope for our listeners and viewers who are undergoing something like this and have hope for them. So that's amazing.
Of course.
Moving on to the second question. So you're the brain behind the CEO's Chair talk show, India's first business-focused talk show. So in your experience, are there some patterns or nuances that all these leaders exhibit?
So I think that's another great question, Sneha, because all the people, all the founders and the CEOs that I've talked to, one thing that has really stood out, at least for me, has been that there is no one path or there is no one journey that is the same as another person. So there are multiple paths to success. There are multiple ways for you to succeed and to achieve what you want. And essentially that has been, I would say, the motivation behind me starting a talk show like this, because I felt that why aren't there more role models that are coming out of India that a lot of the Indian youth can also relate to? With all due respect to the Anil Ambanis and the Mukesh Ambanis of the world and the Ratan Tatas of the world, there are so many more success stories that are coming out every single day of founders and CEOs that have come from, let's say, not as privileged backgrounds or have had to really come from, tier 2 or tier 3 cities, but have gone on to make major successes for themselves.
Absolutely.
So if I was to kind of shortlist some of the qualities or some of the personality attributes that I see in some of my guests, I think one of them would definitely be self-awareness, which is at the top of the list. I think not a lot, all of them are extremely self-aware of their strengths and essentially what they bring to the table. But they're also very, very open and candid about the areas in which they need to collaborate or in which they need to seek advice from, which I think has helped propel them to the top of to the organization or to the startup that they founded. The second aspect would probably be, and we use this term very loosely, called executive presence. Which, in my opinion, I can always tell when I'm talking to a startup founder or I'm talking to a CEO that believes in themselves and that has gotten there the hard way, because they exude a certain kind of, I would say, probably energy. In addition, the way that they communicate, not just with you, but with anybody in the organization or outside the organization, you can tell that there is something different about them. So for me, that is another standout quality that I've noticed in all of my guests. And lastly, but not least, is very similar to myself. So just a short story, when I moved back, when I was in the US for the first time, unfortunately, my parents didn't have the resources to be able to pay for my college education while I was there. So I ended up taking a full-time job as a restaurant server in a restaurant in Providence. And I worked full-time, I went to college full-time, and I managed to pay off my tuition fees while I was still in college. Wow. So similar to that story, all of the CEOs and founders that I interact with have gone through some sort of hardship or have gone through some sort of difficult time in their lives, which has forced them to look inwards and actually emerge stronger. So those are probably some of the qualities that I notice in commonality between all of my guests.
Absolutely. It's extremely interesting to hear you say all of this, because as somebody who also speaks to a lot of people, I do relate to a lot of things that you said. And somewhere I also hold this personal belief that it helps a lot talking to all of these people, because somewhere these conversations stay with you, they stick with you. And I feel like this is a great form of learning. I think it's even greater than the other conventional forms of learning that are out there. So I can imagine what an enriching journey that must have been. And that definitely also reflects in the way that you also talk to us about these topics. So that's great. That's amazing for that.
Thank you, Sneha.
So as somebody who holds expertise in and has taught courses on global human capital trends as well as digital media, how do you think HR technology will change the nature of the new post-pandemic workplace?
So for me, and from the experiences that I've had, HR has always been a very, very core organization or a core department in any organization. Unfortunately, they have not got their fair due. And a lot of people, especially working in HR, feel as if they are treated more as a support department rather than being a very, very important department in each and every, whether it is a startup with 5 people or it is a huge multinational organization with, let's say, 50,000 people. But I see a lot of that changing, because thanks to HR technology, a lot of the repetitive tasks, a lot of the mundane tasks are now being taken over by computers, are being taken over, and they're being done automatically.
Yes.
And that allows, in my opinion at least, the HR fraternity to go back to what was their core expertise and what they should have been doing all along. And some of
Absolutely.
those are actually focusing on the people that make organization what it is today. So whether it is acting as brand ambassadors for the organization, focusing on employer branding, focusing on attracting the right talent, focusing on building the talent up as well as keeping the culture of the organization aligned to what the overall values and what the overall direction of the organization is. So I think HR definitely has a steep learning curve, and it has had a steep learning curve over the past couple of years, and especially so in 2020. But I see the role of HR dramatically changing over the next couple of years.
Absolutely. And there has been an acceleration in the change that was bound to happen anyway because of the pandemic. And at the
True.
same time, I feel like this past year has helped us realize the importance of HR, like you just mentioned. And somewhere, not meaning to do so, but what happened was that when we endowed them with such technology to better do their tasks, in a way, it was also acknowledging the fact that they are here to do something important. And I feel like that speaks volumes. So
Absolutely.
thanks a lot. So, do you have some pieces of advice for working professionals looking to establish their brand similar to yours?
Okay. So I think one, it's extremely important for anybody that's out there that's in a professional environment to identify whether they're working as a freelancer, as an entrepreneur, or as somebody who's working in a corporate organization.
Right.
Now, with that demarcation in mind, what 2020 has taught us is that it's extremely important. And I know everybody talks about having an entrepreneurial mindset, whatever
Yes.
that is supposed to mean. But I think that is just the mindset talks about you working as an independent entity, regardless of whatever organization that you're aligned to. Now, what does that mean? That means that you need to probably have a higher sense of self-discipline than you've ever had before. Gone are the days when you had your manager or you had your supervisor sit on your shoulder the entire day and ask you every hour or 2 hours that is the task complete, or when can I expect the end of the project, when can I expect the first draft of the report, and so on. So the self-discipline aspect, I think, is going to be critical for anybody to succeed in any of these roles. That's one. When we talk about an entrepreneurial mindset, I think it also reflects in the way that you communicate. Your communication must now move from being reactive, as in just following up or just reporting back on what you've done. You actually need to be able to, one of the questions that you need to ask yourself is, okay, what is my boss concerned about? What is he worried about? What are the problems that I can answer for, that I can solve for him? And be proactive about solving those problems as well as communicating them. And thirdly, I think anybody who wants to succeed also needs to, at regular intervals, ask them an important question: that what is it that I'm doing that is actually contributing to the overall organization? Am I helping in the organization saving money? Am I helping the organization make more money, for example? Am I, let's say, having a positive impact on my co-workers so that they are much more productive than they used to be? Or am I acting as a brand ambassador of the organization, which is helping the organization's brand and perception in the industry grow and become more positive? So if you're able to draw a direct line, in my opinion, again, from the work that you're doing to any of these aspects, then I think your contribution will always be valued regardless of wherever you go.
Absolutely. It is wonderful to see how you've put all of this into perspective, and that definitely shows the experience that you've had in your field.
Thank
I
you.
also want to mention that all of us have such ideas about certain things, and what you just spoke about entrepreneurship, it's definitely, for me, it's a very new concept, and I'm always open to looking at diverse understandings behind what certain terms mean. So this was absolutely interesting, and I'm sure that our viewers and listeners will definitely agree with that. Thanks a lot for that. And lastly, Siddharth, do you have any passing remarks for us?
Um, Nothing that I haven't already covered, but if I was to, share some two pieces of advice that somebody shared with me when I was coming up, one would definitely be that in any role, in any seniority, it is not enough to just have the skill set. You also need to have the ability to articulate those skills as
Right.
well as deploy them when required. So that's one aspect. A lot of them, and you'll see this example in every field, whether it is in sports, whether it is in arts, or whether it is in business. that there are a lot of very, very talented people out there, but unfortunately or fortunately, they have not been as successful in their own lives, even by their own definitions of success, as they could have been. And I think what differentiates a lot of people is having the skill set, having the self-discipline to follow through on those skills, and being able to deploy the right skills at the right time. So that's one
Absolutely.
aspect. The other aspect I would say would probably be that regardless of whatever circumstances that you might have grown up in, obviously we can't choose the family that we are born into or the neighborhood
Yes.
or the city. What we can choose are the thoughts and actions that we are responsible for.
Absolutely.
And if anything, 2020 has taught us how important it is to have control over our thoughts and control over our actions, because there are so many things that are out there that we don't have control over.
Yes.
So if you have the ability to do that, again, regardless of your circumstances, you will always be a success wherever you go and whatever you do. So these are some of my passing thoughts to your viewers as well, Sneha.
Absolutely. That is definitely valuable advice, Siddharth. And I don't feel like we could have ended this interview on a better note. Thanks a lot for taking the time out and speaking to us. This is definitely a very insightful conversation. And I look forward to connecting with you again.
Thank you, Sneha. It's been a pleasure interacting with you as well. And I wish you and People Hum nothing but the best.
Thank you.
Take care.